Nigeria Now on Equa Television International. Thank you for joining us. And today I have, always, Joyce Jakada, the able one.
I was waiting to hear no other person. It sounded like it was a visitor that was coming, but I'm happy to be here. This is Nigeria Now.
Yeah. Joyce, how are you doing?
I'm great,
You're
and you?
looking great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looking at Nigeria's situation, after the flood last year, how the country was affected with the issue of food security, and coupled with the issue of insecurity in some zones of the country, that contributed to. And then, one thing with governance, once you are governing, you are thinking of the welfare of your people. And here it's a program whereby we've been talking about issue of welfare of people, how government should improve their welfare, how people should tackle some issues that is affecting the common man. And one of it is the issue of food security. And you can say is one of the thing that you can say every family is related with, because even the struggle of now, of day to day, the main target, if you look at it carefully, is the issue of food, because food take the junk part of whatever budget is coming from every family. Now, Tinubu, Mr. President, is declaring the state of emergency, on the issue of food security.
If you ask me, I'll tell you this is timely that the president is declaring state of emergency in as regard food security, and this is sequel to food inflation that is across the 36 states of the country, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, talking about Abuja. You will recall that the flood last year, just like you rightly said, has affected production, and then insecurity cut across different states, as well has actually affected production, harvest, destruction of farmlands. All of these have affected. The issue is not even much to do, has nothing, it's not really about availability but affordability, because the little that is actually available, the prices are actually high. We kept emphasizing how that Nigerians are actually living in pain. Hardship is actually what Nigerians are faced with. A lot of people can barely feed 3 square meal, and no wonder the president yesterday declared state of emergency on food security. And then Tinubu also approved that all matters pertaining to food, water availability, and also affordability as essential livelihood items were included within the purview of the National Security Council. And this is coming through the special advisor to the president on special duties, communication and strategy, Dele Alaki, that disclosed that immediately after briefing the State House correspondent, he actually said that the president has directed the immediate release of fertilizers and grains to farmers and households to mitigate the effect of the subsidy removal. I know that a lot of Nigerians will be asking the question, oh, what does it mean when the president declares state of emergency? We saw how that yesterday or a day before yesterday, the honorable member of House of Representatives talking about that Bagos was moving a motion that the state of emergency should be declared on the issue of insecurity attacks on the plateau. And then it was a motion that a lot of people supported, but I asked myself the question, do we even need to declare? Because we're already in the state of emergency, because we're in a situation where people cannot sleep with their eyes closed, situation where somebody has to keep something to protect himself before he can sleep. Of course, it has already called for state of emergency. You are in a state where your house or a locality where you can't even move freely to your farmlands, or already we are having curfews being imposed. All of these situations can make it's something that can be described as state of emergency. And now declaring it on food security is not something that anybody is going to fight, but it actually means that the president is going to be directly involved now in this situation. Like I said, inflation is everything, is something that everybody can relate to, not just in Plateau State, not just in Benue State, but in all the 36 states, and then as well as the Federal Capital Territory. What you used to get for 100 naira, 150 naira, you have to buy it at 500 to 1,000 naira, and all of that. And we saw how that before, prior to the removal of the first subsidy, again, prices has skyrocketed, and this has called, it has made a lot of Nigerians call on the president, can you actually do something about it? And just yesterday we saw how that he actually ordered the immediate release of fertilizers and grains to farmers and households, and this is to help mitigate the effect of the subsidy removal. And he also said there will be an organic synergy between the Ministry of Agriculture and the use of water resources to actually ensure adequate irrigation of farmlands and to guarantee the food is available all years round. And then as a country, Mr. President has made it clear again that we are no longer comfortable with the seasonal farming, and we can no longer afford to have farming and downtime. So it's going to be all year round, and the need for security of farmers is something that is on that we cannot sit and debate about it. If we provide fertilizers, we provide grains for them, and yet they don't have access to their farmlands, or if their farmlands are not protected, then at the end of the day we are still going back to the same issue. It was just recently we saw how that the governor of Borno State actually made provisions for about 80 buses to convey luxury buses to convey farmers to farmlands, amazingly. But I think more needs to be done beyond conveying them to the farmlands. If those farmlands are not protected, and again we're still going back to the same issue. You will recall it was in the same Borno that about 100 farmers were killed because, and then we saw how that the stakeholder was saying they didn't take permission before going to the farm. So beyond conveying them, I think the needful should be done, especially as regards ending this invasion of farmlands and destroying of food crops. At the end of the day, when you don't have it spells danger for a country where food is not being protected. So it is really timely and good that the president is actually coming into this, and this is just after the approval of the 500 billion naira for palliative to cushion the effect of this fuel subsidy removal. Indeed, Nigerians are suffering, and like I said earlier on, it's not the availability, but affordability of this food is an issue. So all matters pertaining to food availability and then affordability as essential items for livelihood should be included, like the president said, within the purview of the national security. Rising cost of food, how is something that has affected the common man. That is why I said people can barely feed 3 square meals. Some people go on 011, some go on 101, some go on 001. It's a sad reality. Governance is about looking into the welfare of the people, and we hope that at the end of the day this is going to be pursued and truly followed, that so that farmers can be able to go out there, farm, and then at the end of the day, not just about farming, but they should be able to go and harvest their farm produce.
Not just harvesting, but still have value for whatever whatever they farm, because it's very key, it's very important. You know, a country without food, I don't think is a number one crisis, because you know hunger can cause so many things, because hunger can be a reason why someone will go into crime.
True.
You know, and then all sorts of vices, you know, that will not add value to the development of a country. And I think the presidency thinking this way, and then the president coming, you know, getting involved in the issue of food security in the nation, I think is one key thing that is worth of applauding. And not just the declaration, you know, that this is what the president, we want to see action. We want to see people that he would delegate, people that will be in charge. Now we're talking about issue of releasing fertilizer, releasing grains, releasing for farmers. You know, so sometimes it's not the declaration, but the people to take to handle those tasks. You know, this is where you'll find the issue of corruption, cutting down people that are supposed to benefit from whatever program of government. You find out they are being shortchanged. It's either it is not getting to them directly, or people that are not supposed to enjoy the fertilizer are the ones that are being given. Because you can see, I remember, you know, back then when we were doing the grassroots politics, you know, allocation of a fertilizer came, and then somebody that is representing a particular community, you know, went clear the fertilizer on behalf of the community, and then bargain with one businessman somewhere that is not even in the community, that is not even close to the local government, you know. is the person that bought the fertilizer from the person in question that is representing, you know, his people.
It's
So,
a sad
it's a
reality.
sad one, to a point that not just even fertilizer, as small as milk, sugar, you know, that person began, you know, with other people to buy from him so that they will stock their shop. It is something that the government should look into, so that we'll see the channel of distribution, so that it will reach to the common man and they will say, yes, the government have them at heart. And by so doing, you will see that the citizen will do everything possible to see that they contribute their quota in building the nation.
Indeed, transparency is key, sincerity is key, even integrity, I think, is an integral part of leadership. This meeting was done with stakeholders in the agriculture and food production value chain at the State House in Abuja, and I hope that they are going to be sincere enough. They are going to put on integrity as at the forefront in doing this, because when you have farmers that are willing to go out there to farm, and then the farm products like the fertilizers and other things are actually not affordable, at the end of the day, it makes no sense, because I've seen situations where people farm very large hectares of farmland, but you see that the crops end up not yielding any result. Why? Because they don't have even the funds to get all the fertilizers and other things. So I just hope that at the forefront is the welfare of the citizens, and whoever is going to be involved, all the stakeholders are going to be involved, especially in this distribution. They are going to be sincere at heart.
Well, in his effort of cushioning the effort, you know, you remember we said it here that he has transmitted a letter to the National Assembly seeking their approval, you know, for him to get access to 500 billion, so that palliatives will start rolling, you know, and then National Assembly, you know, agree to that, and they approve that request. And now we are looking forward to see how the palliative will roll, you know, hoping that 12 million families would get 8,000 naira for 6 months. And then I enjoy so many things are just going through my mind, you know. You can see me trying to struggle, because I remember there was one time they talk about 5,000 naira, you know, to the poor of the poorest, you know, in this country, and not small amount went into that particular, let me call it, project, and still yet we are talking about adding 3 million, 5 million, 7 million to the poverty line.
Well, the issue of the cushioning of the effect of the first subsidy removal is long overdue, if you ask me, because like still repeating myself, Nigerians are suffering. People are living in pain. There's hardship in the land. The common man is almost turning to dust because of the demands, because of needs that he has to meet, because he has to eat. A lot of things left, right, center, and then bills are just keep increasing. Prices have gone up. The increase in price of petroleum is like 200%, and it has ripple effect on products and services as well. And yet your source of income is still stagnant, while others don't even have the source of income. We know NLC, TUC, amongst many others, CSO talked about good policy, but methodology, planning, lacks adequate planning in terms of cushioning the effect. But we saw how that a lot of meetings went on. Nigerians were being asked to be patient, and recently again the president still pleaded with the Nigerians to please endure, like it will soon be over. And you recall how that I said that why can't we see leaders taking the pain so that Nigerians, the welfare of their citizens can be improved. We always hear of a humongous amount of money being budgeted, being shared amongst allies, amongst politicians, and Nigerians, the citizens, are always the ones at the receiving end. Like bulk of the ball of this burden of removal of fuel subsidy, it's the common man that is faced with it, because you have to pay double of your transportation fare, more than double of it. You have to buy goods at more than double price that you used to buy, and with the funds that you don't actually have. And no one that the trekking has become the new norm. No one that people can just are getting used to eating once a day and all of that. You keep going back, pleading with your children to just understand. That is what the average, the common man does. And it looks like the government don't feel the pain that Nigerians are feeling. And no wonder we are saying, oh, give us 8 weeks. No, still be patient and all of that. We saw how that the president immediately after the removal requested for a loan of about $800 million, as well as 500 billion naira from the 819 billion supplementary budget of 2022. That generated a lot of reaction. Some people say you don't need $800 million, you don't need to borrow, because at this point where we are right now, we are almost at the threshold. Like a country that is its borrowing level exceed 30% is already headed to doom, and now ours is even close to 100%. Look at the ratio of our debt to our GDP. Is so high, and people express fear. You don't need to borrow. What about the savings from the first subsidy removal that we say, oh, we have about 4 billion naira? So what have we done with that and all of that? A lot of reactions were actually coming in, but the president made the request to both chambers of the National Assembly of the loan request of $800 million, as well as 500 billion naira from the 819 billion naira supplementary budget of 2022. And just yesterday we saw the approval. The approval generated a lot of reactions. The special advisor of public communication, Frank Shaibu, to Atiku, actually reacted to that, said it's another way of scamming Nigerians, because in the past we saw the same APC administration during the COVID-19 period. Palliatives were hoarded by politicians, food were hidden, and Nigerians were dying of hunger. So this might also be another way of extorting the masses. NLC also reacted to that. We saw how that the government, the National Assembly actually explained the breakdown of the 819 billion naira supplementary budget, saying that 500 billion naira is for the palliatives that the president actually requested for, and other capital expenditure to cushion the effect of recent fuel subsidy removal policy, and then about 185 billion naira for Ministry of Works and Housing to alleviate the impact of the severe flooding experienced in the country last year, and then 19 billion naira for Ministry of Agriculture to ameliorate the massive destruction to farmlands against the country during the severe flooding experience, and then 35 billion naira to National Judiciary Council, 10 billion naira to Federal Capital Territory Administration for critical project, and then 70 billion naira for National Assembly. And this is, according to Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker, he immediately responded to that, trying to explain to Nigerians that, see, this 70 billion naira is not from the 500 billion naira that the president requested for palliative, because if you are going by that, because a lot of Nigerians are already reacting to that, oh, you are going to give members of the National Assembly 70 billion naira, and you're saying that in about 12 million households are going to be receiving 8,000 naira in 6 months. Some it is 48,000. So how can 48,000 move somebody out of poverty in 6 months? You get, if you break down, we're talking about 12 million households, and they hope that at the end of the 6 months, by about 6 million Nigerians are going to be helped in terms of cushioning the effect. And I tried to sum the 8,000 times 6 is about 48,000. Please tell me, with the economic reality that we are in a month, what is 48,000? Talk more of like 6 months.
A measure of maize.
How much is it?
It's 700.
You understand? Yes. So I think
700.
People are already reacting to that. Well, Benjamin Kalu has come out to say that, no, this 70 billion is not even part of the palliative, but it was a provision in the supplementary budget, and it is to help especially some of the new like members in terms of settling and all of that. Well, good explanation, but I think more needs to be done, especially in terms of looking at the needs of Nigerians. You can't say that you plan to transfer 8,000 naira to 12 million poor household in the country. Questions that Nigerians are asking, what measures are you going to use? Because in a country where data is not something we take serious, how do you intend to do it? The president talked about digital transfer. In the past, we also had that provision by President Muhammadu Buhari, but how did it end? Like the COVID-19 palliative as well. Oh, the poorest of the poor are going to... How did it end? We saw how that some Nigerians have to go and boggle some of these warehouses that the palliatives were kept, and it was just excuse upon excuse that Nigerians keep hearing. Government need to be sincere at heart when it has to do with governance. Now the questions that people are asking is, what is the plan for the 500 billion palliative? Yes, we agree that right now you requested for this, it has been approved. What is the plan for it? Already Kano State Governor is saying that no, there's disparity even in the sharing of the 500 billion
dollars.
Billion naira palliative, because they're saying that Lagos State is taking about 47%, and then is alleging also that the South are taking 17%, and then like they should look into it. He's already alleging disparity in that. So Nigerians want detail. They want to see, how do you intend to share this 500? What do you intend to do? You're talking about cushioning the effect on all Nigerians, remember? So how do you intend to do it? If you're talking about 12 million households, who are the household? How did you identify them to be the poor? Like I will always maintain, in the past we've had schemes that were geared towards helping the poor, but at the end of the day, it's still the rich that benefited from it, and no explanation to the poor. So because we don't want this thing to still end up in some individual's pocket, more like the special advisor on communication to the vice president, to the presidential candidate of the PDP, saying, no, this should not be another scam for Nigerians. Can we have a government where people can believe them? It is only through accountability and transparency. But if your people cannot believe you, cannot have confidence in you, then it becomes the problem. So I think this is a call for the government, for the federal government, for the Tinubu's administration, the National Assembly, to actually look into this. I'm glad that you were swift in action. And we hope when other matters come up that has to do with the welfare and interests of Nigerians, they are also going to be swift. It shouldn't be about personal interest. It shouldn't be about satisfying some godfathers or satisfying some party leaders, but it should be about Nigerians. And if we see governance in that direction, then we'll begin to do the needful. So, but in my opinion, how can 48,000 in 6 months elevate or eradicate poverty? How?
So that means the federal government is dashing the household 45,000. 48,000. You know, if you sum it up, you know, 8 times 6. I feel some things that are happening up there, and Nigerians are watching. Like you say, people are beginning to react. Like the issue of the 70 billion that is going to going to the National Assembly to support their working condition. People will start asking, what working condition? And you know, there is this issue of the dress allowance, sitting allowance, all of this. People are complaining of the money that even the National Assembly.
But can we have an understanding of the time that we're in right now? Because remember, I said we can only build this country when we have understanding of the time that we're in. We are not against the members of the National Assembly getting what they deserve. But if at a time like this, when Nigerians are faced with this hardship, can we say as leaders and as members of the government that no, we are sacrificing this so that lives can be better for our people? Because we cannot even take away the fact that people are actually suffering. Can we see that the cost of governance is being reduced? Can governance be made unattractive? Maybe that way people will not lobby, people will not fight, people will not kill to be there. When people see governance like strictly about service, then people will go with the heart to actually serve. But when this thing is being made very attractive, that it's all about money, it's all about personal interest, self-empowerment, then everybody will fight, will kill to be there. And unless we speak truth to power, if we fail to speak truth to power, then we'll continue in this circle.
Thank you, Joyce. This is the much we can take.
Always a pleasure.
I'm happy that you did this with me today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for allowing us access to your own living room. Let's do this same station, same time. Bye-bye, and God bless you.